Welcome to Your Family's Health, the program that focuses on healthcare issues with unique and different modalities for taking charge of your health today. Experts talk weekly with our continuing roster of guests from around the country and right here in Nassau County to keep you up to date on the latest health issues and trends. Take care of your mind, body, and soul. Spend the next half hour with the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and get on the journey to better health.
Hello and welcome to Your Family's Health. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with Nassau Community College student Gina Peter. And today we're going to talk about the health benefits of yoga.
Our guest is Amy Garvey, the owner of Oyster Bay Yoga, Glen Cove Yoga, an online yoga platform practice at home. She is a registered yoga teacher, a registered dietitian, and has worked in both clinical nutrition and health and wellness coaching.
Amy, welcome to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first of all, I hope you're personally doing all right in light of this pandemic.
You know, I feel very lucky in that myself and all of my family members have made it through unscathed. So we're all doing well. Thanks for asking.
So everyone's heard of yoga, but for those that have never seen it or tried it, what is yoga?
That's a great question. You know, it's funny, when I did my yoga teacher training, that's when I was applying to do the teacher training, they had us write an essay. And I always think back and laugh about how I answered the question then and how I would answer it now. So it's funny that you say that. You know, a lot of people come to yoga for the health benefits or because it's recommended to them by a friend or their doctor. But yoga is an ancient practice. And so we draw on a text. It's called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Patanjali was a sage. And he tells us first thing in the Yoga Sutras what yoga is. And yoga is the quieting of the fluctuations in the mind. I don't know if that's what you were going to expect me to say, but literally that's what it is, the quieting of the fluctuations in the mind. So all that we do with the poses and the breathing techniques and the relaxation techniques is all with the intention of helping us quiet the mind.
So do you have to be in shape? Who is the target audience for yoga?
You know, I think that there is a form of yoga, or I should say like a mindfulness practice out there for everyone. A lot of people may have tried yoga before in one capacity or another, and a lot of people come to me as the owner of the studio and they tell me that they've had a bad experience before, and I like to attribute that to the fact that perhaps they were not in the right type of yoga for what they were hoping to get out of it. So it's important to know that before you attempt a yoga class or some kind of mindfulness practice. It's important to think about what it is that you're hoping to get out of it, because I think there is a yoga or there is a mindfulness practice out there for everybody. There's something, you know, if you just want to exercise and get stronger and more flexible, there's a yoga for you. If you want to, heal some back pain or overcome an injury or a limitation of your body, there's a different form of yoga out there for you. If you want to learn to reduce your stress levels or learn to meditate, there's a practice out there for you. There's a class out there for you. And I encourage you to, just keep trying different teachers, different forms until you find something that really resonates with you.
How many times a week should you do a yoga class, and how long should the session be?
Again, it kind of depends on the type of yoga that you are practicing. There's nothing wrong with practicing yoga every day. It should be therapeutic. Even if you're doing a more vigorous physical form of yoga, it still should be therapeutic. So there's nothing wrong with practicing yoga every day. And we have students here at the studio that do just that. You know, they come in, we have a monthly challenge, and we've had students that have come upwards of like 40 times in a month. So that's, more than once a day. And they're healthy and happy as can be. And that's what they feed on, and they love coming daily and practicing daily. So there's nothing wrong with doing it daily, but there's still plenty of benefit to doing it less frequently, even once or twice a week. You may still feel the benefits of the effort that you're putting in, certainly.
Is it to be likened to aerobic exercises and weightlifting? How do you, if you had to parallel with something, how would you parallel it?
So it can be many things. The style of yoga that we teach at the studios that I operate, Oyster Bay Yoga and Glen Cove Yoga, it's called Vinyasa Yoga. There are a number of different lineages of yoga, steeped in history, and they feel very different when you come and take different styles of classes, but what we teach here is Vinyasa Yoga. And Vinyasa Yoga is known for being a little bit more physical. So certainly if you practice Vinyasa Yoga, you're going to get some aerobic benefit. Definitely improves your lung capacity, and you're going to get some strength building. Certainly you're going to get improvement in flexibility, but there are more gentle and mindful forms of yoga as well. So we also have some classes on the schedule called Restorative Yoga, which is like on the opposite end of the spectrum of Vinyasa Yoga. Vinyasa Yoga is like flowing, physical, moving with the breath, very exercisey, very physical. Restorative Yoga, extremely restful. So think like long holds and very supported postures. You've got blankets, you've got cushions, you've got props that are holding you in really mild, gentle positions, but still can help improve flexibility. It's a very meditative experience, so it's wonderful for stress relief and mindfulness. And then there are certain forms of meditation that we may teach here as well. So it's just seated and we're just working with the mind. So it really depends on the type of class that you're taking.
What should I know about yoga if I've never done it before?
And it's one that I field all the time at the studios here. I would say it's important to know what type of class that you're attending. So before you come to a studio class, I would recommend calling the studio, or at the very least checking out that studio's website so you can get a feel for the type of classes that they're offering. Many studios will offer beginner yoga classes, and so you'll want to seek that out if you've never gone to yoga before, so that you don't feel overwhelmed and so that you don't feel out of place. Remember I was talking before about a lot of people have had a bad experience. Oftentimes it's because they ended up in a class that was physically beyond what they were comfortable doing at the time. So it's good to seek out those beginner classes. So give a call to your local studio and see if they offer something like that. And then it can be an intimidating environment, especially when you're trying something new, so that you feel more comfortable. What we do at our studios is I'll have what we call welcome sessions. And so you can book a little bit of time with me or one of the other instructors to get a tour of the studio, to have all of your questions answered, and to make sure that you end up in the right program or the right class, depending on what your goals are, what your outcomes are. And then, some of the other logistic things that a lot of people feel funny asking, but that I hear all the time. It's like, well, what should I wear? What should I bring? Especially now during COVID times, it's important that you're coming to the studio with your own yoga mat. So you may need to bring that. You may want to ask that ahead of time to the studio. Do I need to bring a mat with me, or do you have some available there? It's good to have a blanket or a towel with you. That comes in really handy in a lot of variety of styles of classes. So I would definitely recommend bringing that. Most studios are perfectly comfortable with you bringing your own water into the studio with you. You don't practice yoga with any shoes or socks on, so you don't need any special footwear, and expect that most people will be barefoot in a class. And a lot of people just ask me, well, what do I wear to yoga too? So you just want to make sure that you're dressed comfortably in clothes that move with you. So you don't have to be wearing any special yoga pants or yoga attire. It just wants to be comfortable, athletic clothing that you feel good moving around in. And then some things in regards to like the arc of a typical class. If you're going to come to a group yoga class that you may want to expect ahead of time, know that at the beginning of class, it's typical that people will come and sit quietly. They may be interacting with the teacher and asking them a few questions ahead of time, but oftentimes there's a little bit of quiet time before the class begins, and there's always a period of rest at the end of every practice, every physical yoga practice. You're going to do something called Shavasana. So expect the beginning and the end to be fairly quiet and restful. And then depending on what the teacher is going to guide you through that day, they're going to take you through their, postures. They may take you through some breathing exercises. They may take you through some mindfulness techniques. They may have a specific theme that they're working on, but just those are some of my general tips that I like to alert beginners to before they come for their first class.
Awesome. Amy, tell us what got you interested in yoga.
So I started practicing yoga when I was in college. I'm very close with my mom, and she actually went to her first yoga class. I grew up in Oyster Bay, so she went to her first yoga class here in town at a studio that existed many years ago. And she was like, Amy, you have to come and try yoga when you come home. So when I came home on break, I tried my first yoga class, and I loved it. I loved it right away. It's like right in my wheelhouse. Physically, I grew up doing gymnastics, and I was looking for something like this to dive into in my college years. So I loved it, and I ended up doing my teacher training in 2011. So many of the teachers that used to work at this prior studio were trained at a school called Yoga Works, which is where I ended up doing my training. And that was 2011. So yeah, like 10 years now. I've been teaching yoga for a while. I was teaching it on the side, but I had always had dreams of entrepreneurship. I wanted to have a business of my own, and it's been a labor of love since then. And I feel like I'm really ingrained in the communities here in Oyster Bay and Glen Cove now, and I've met so many wonderful people. So it's a wonderful practice, and I still love it. I still love practicing it, and I still love sharing it with the people in the communities here.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard, along with Nassau Community College student Gina Peter. And today we're learning all about the health benefits of yoga with my guest, Amy Garvey, the owner of Oyster Bay Yoga, Glen Cove Yoga, an online yoga platform practice at home. She is a registered yoga teacher and a registered dietitian, and worked in both clinical nutrition and health and wellness coaching. So with your pedigree as being, a dietitian and in doing nutrition and health coaching, what are the benefits, the health benefits of yoga? Have you really seen or done any studies or read any studies about how yoga has benefited the body?
Yeah, and it's actually wonderful to just see in practice. The best part of my job is when a student comes to me and says, oh my God, I can't believe that I've healed my back pain. I used to be walking around bent over, I used to be in pain every day, and now I feel amazing. Or I used to have like really low energy, and now I feel like I do my morning yoga and I can take on the day. And I hear this stuff day in and day out. So I've definitely, read the studies before, and there's definitely science behind why yoga works. But the best part for me is just seeing it in action in the students that I teach.
Tell us about Oyster Bay Yoga and Glen Cove Yoga and the services that they offer.
Right. So my two studio locations, we offer a wide variety of weekly yoga, Pilates, and meditation, and some fitness classes as well. So there's something for everybody, I think, on our schedule. We also offer private yoga lessons, and you can do those in studio, or you can do them in your home. We also have a private lesson membership that's available. We also offer massage at our Oyster Bay Yoga location. So we have a really sweet little spa room in the back. And we try to be very holistic here in the way that we approach teaching people. So there's some gentle yoga classes, there's beginner yoga classes, we have more advanced classes for those that have been practicing for some time that want to go a little bit deeper. We offer special events, certainly, on topics of interest to our communities. And yeah, so like I said, I think there's a little bit of something for everybody here.
So you have an online service called At Home, and the O and the M are capitalized.
Yeah.
Can you explain that name
Om is a Sanskrit word. It's a mantra that we will chant oftentimes at the beginning or at the end of our practice, and it's a centering sound. The sound itself, when we chant it, has healing properties for your body and for your mind, and it's also like they say in Sanskrit, it's like the sound that the universe made when it came into existence. So many people have seen the Om symbol like plastered around on bumper stickers and everywhere. So it's a Sanskrit word. And then, practicing at home is something that I started practice at home a few years ago, pre-COVID. And then since the inception of this crazy time we've been in with COVID, a lot more people have been able to take advantage of doing it. And they've been, forced indoors, and they've been forced to start practicing at home. So we offer on the website, it's on demand, yoga, Pilates, fitness, meditation classes that you can do from home. And practicing at home is a totally different experience. Being in the studio is wonderful. You have the community, you have the teacher there guiding you, you're getting personalized feedback. Practicing at home is different in its own wonderful way. So I created it with the intention of helping people continue practicing at home what they're learning in the studios, taking it home with them so they can experience that the beauty of having a home yoga practice and feeling like you are guiding yourself, but you still have the help of the instructor there.
How long would it take for you to see the benefits of yoga?
It's so funny. It's almost immediate, especially the mental benefits. And you'll see, if you've not done yoga before and you come and take a class, you're going to physically, you're going to try some new things. You're going to use muscles you've not used before. You may be feeling sore the next day, but at the end of practice, like I mentioned, we do something called Shavasana. In Sanskrit, it literally means corpse pose in English. So we fully rest. And I see it there all the time. Learning to relax is a skill that we get better at over time, but you're going to feel the benefits in your first Shavasana. When you come to class and the teacher is there guiding you deeper into rest, it's such a beautiful experience. And you're going to feel those relaxation benefits right away, immediately. And then I would say, like, in your first month of regular practice, you're going to start to notice your posture is improving. If you have back pain, you're going to notice that starting to improve. You're going to notice improved flexibility. You're going to notice that you're getting stronger and more mindful. The beautiful part about yoga is that whatever you learn in the class, you take it with you out into the rest of your day and your interactions as well, too. So it's really all-encompassing. But immediately the relaxation benefits, and then definitely within that first month of regular practice, you're going to feel a lot of the physical benefits too.
You use the term mindfulness. What is that? What is mindfulness?
That's a good question. It's a good question. It's hard to answer. So mindfulness to me is again a skill. It's something that we learn to do. So there are layers of it. And oftentimes it starts from like the gross. So we move from gross to subtle in our yoga practice. So we start with the poses. We start to become just aware of our body in space. How do I step my foot forward? How is my body? How should it be in downward facing dog? So we start just to become aware of our physical body. And then the more that you practice and the more that you learn about yoga, the deeper that you go, you'll start to move into the more subtle aspects of mindfulness. So, you're breathing, the subtle body, the way that your mind works, and you'll see how that bleeds out into your relationships and your everyday life. So, mindfulness, I think, can be a lot of things, but in yoga, it tends to work from the outside in.
Do you think we're more mindful now that we are in quarantine pretty much in our homes and we are kind of confined in a way?
I think it certainly shifted things for us, right? The way that we look at the outside world, the way that we approach the outside world has really changed. I think that mindfulness practices are more important now than they ever have been. I don't know. I like to think that everybody is taking the time now that their lives have been upended to approach their lives in a more mindful way. But I don't know. I hope so. I hope everybody out there is working on that, but I'm not sure.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard, along with Nassau Community College student Gina Peter. And today we're learning about the health benefits of yoga with our guest Amy Garvey, the owner of Oyster Bay Yoga, Glen Cove Yoga, an online yoga platform at home. She is a registered yoga teacher, a registered dietitian, and has worked in both clinical nutrition and health and wellness coaching. So tell me, Amy, can someone who is pregnant still do yoga?
Funny that you asked that. So I just had a baby. He's 4 months old now. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I practiced yoga all throughout my pregnancy. Definitely, yes. There's wonderful benefits to it. And this was my first baby, so it was my first time ever practicing yoga while pregnant. It definitely changes things physically, but pregnant women have a lot of aches and pains and different things that go on in their body that are changing. So yoga is a really nice way to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did it help you during labor? Did it help you during labor?
Well, I had a bit of an interesting delivery story, so
okay.
I can't answer that because I ended up having a C-section.
Okay.
But I have heard that, yes, it can help with labor. But the mindfulness is definitely wonderful as, you're going through all of those changes. You definitely want to make sure that if you're going to be taking group classes while you're pregnant, that your instructor is aware of that. The large majority of instructors are going to be able to help you make the modifications that you'll need to as you progress in your pregnancy. But, definitely make sure that you check in with your instructor, even just a few minutes ahead of class and let them know that you're in that stage in life and how far along you are in your pregnancy so that they can help you make some adjustments. But it is a wonderful thing to do while you're pregnant, certainly.
Is there types of yoga that pregnant women should avoid? Like I've heard of hot yoga. Like what is that? Should they avoid that? And what are the benefits of hot yoga?
So we don't teach hot yoga here in this studio, so I'm not going to be an expert on the benefits of hot yoga. I wouldn't recommend it for women who are pregnant just because it elevates your body temperature a few degrees, which is not great for the fetus. Like they tell you not even to take hot baths and things like that when you're pregnant, just because, especially in the early stages of pregnancy, you want to be mindful of your body temperature. So I certainly wouldn't recommend it for women who are pregnant. But a lot of people do love it. Like I said, I can't speak to the science behind it, but it is a really nice feeling to practice in a warm room, especially if you're a person who is quite stiff, you have arthritis and things like that. It can be nice. I do know that oftentimes hot yoga classes, especially like Bikram yoga, are quite physical. So it's not going to be for beginners. They may, and again, make sure if you're going to go to a hot yoga studio that you're asking ahead of time, hey, I'm a beginner. Do you offer something for beginners? Just know that it is a very physical lineage of yoga.
So as a registered dietitian, how is diet related to yoga? And should people avoid eating or drinking before a session?
Yeah, it's recommended that you not have a large meal before you practice, just, for your own comfort. You wouldn't want to eat a big meal before you do any other form of exercise, but particularly in yoga, if you're coming to Vinyasa Yoga, we're doing like a lot of twisting. We may be laying on our stomach. We're going to be coming like up and down, in and out of sun salutation. So it's not going to be comfortable for you to be eating ahead of practice. I would say give yourself a good hour before you come to class if you've had a large meal. That being said, you certainly want to be well hydrated before and after you practice as well.
And does yoga, your diet, is there a correlation between the diet that you eat and how well you do yoga or how poorly you do yoga?
Yeah, I'm a believer that your nutrition impacts everything. So healthy eating means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and there's a lot of different information out there. And I think there's a different healthy way of eating for everybody out there too. You may hear a lot of yoga instructors are vegans. You certainly don't have to be a vegan to practice yoga by any means, but in that text that I mentioned, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, and this is a really ancient text, we draw from it, but we try to bring it into the modern era here. So don't feel that, oh, my yoga teacher is a vegan, I should be a vegan. You certainly can be, but you don't have to be. But general healthy eating it impacts everything in your life, but certainly how you practice yoga too. You want to feel good. When you eat good, you feel good, and the yoga is just going to make you feel that much better. So when you eat poorly, you're not going to feel great when you come to class. So there's certainly a correlation there.
You mentioned that in yoga classes, there's a lot of twists and turns and lying on your belly. Mm-hmm. Is there a certain amount of time you should wait to eat after a class?
Not necessarily after a class, no. But the important thing after class is just the hydration. So you want to make sure, because there's this sense of flushing things out, you're wringing out all your internal organs when you're doing that. It's like when you go for a massage too, and afterwards when they're moving a lot of stuff around inside of your body, you want to make sure that you're well hydrated afterwards so you can get rid of some of those toxins. But no, not a certain amount of time afterwards for eating. I would just give yourself some time before so you don't feel uncomfortable.
So can you tell us, how do we get in contact with you? Is there a website? Tell us more.
Certainly, yeah. So you can get to us everywhere online. It's oysterbayyoga.com, glencoveyoga.com, and you'll find us at Oyster Bay Yoga and at Glen Cove Yoga on social media. And the online yoga platform is practiceatom.com. So practiceatom.com. That's the on-demand yoga classes. And you can always email me if you have direct questions for me. Don't hesitate to email either of the studios. It's info@oysterbayyoga.com and info@glencoveyoga.com.
Are you facilitating all of the yoga sessions, or do you have a list of
Early on I was. Now I have a lot of instructors that help me. Yeah, we have, pre-COVID we had at Oyster Bay 42 classes a week. And in Glen Cove we had about 30. Now we're building back up again. So I hope to get back there very soon to have that full class schedule. But I have a variety of instructors that work for me. All of them have their own special way of teaching and their own different experiences that they bring to their classes. So, like I said, I think there's something for everybody here, especially at our studios. And I encourage everybody to give it a try and reach out if you have any questions about the right class for you or the right program for you. I'm here to make sure that you end up doing the form of yoga that's going to serve your health and wellness best.
Well, thank you for being here, Amy Garvey, the owner of Oyster Bay Yoga, Glen Cove Yoga, and online yoga platform Practice at Home. We hope you stay safe and continue to stay healthy, and thank you for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
This is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with student Gina Peter. And we want to thank you for listening to this week's edition of Your Family's Health.
We'd like to get your feedback on your family's health. Send your comments by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu. Podcasts of today's show are available on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This program was produced at the studios of Nassau Community College in cooperation with the nursing department. Join us next week for another edition of Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.